Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of What's Happening Now with CNI Solutions. As always, remember to like, share, and comment on this broadcast live, as there could be some information not useful to yourself, but it could be useful to a neighbor, a relative, or a friend. So tonight's broadcast is being brought to you by Hair Queen, where Hair Queen offers an array and style of just selling beauty products. It's about empowering women and uplifting our community. They believe every woman should feel beautiful in their own skin. All right. So a couple of things we got coming up. We still have our community baby shower that's coming up, the 7 and 7. That is going to be this weekend on the 26th, starting at 1 o'clock for everyone who has registered for that event. That is a registered event. That is not a walk-up thing, but it is free. You had to register. So if you hadn't had a chance to register, you still might have maybe a couple more hours to register before we go ahead and close that out so we can prepare for this Sunday's event. So tonight, we got a very special guest, a returning guest. Some of y'all might have seen him before, and he's here for part 2 because there was such an overwhelming response to bring him back on the live to finish his story, to talk about his transition from dealing in the world of should we say, I don't know, misbehaving. Let's just say that. We'll say from misbehaving to where he's at now. But without further ado, Richard, welcome back. Good to have you back again, sir, for part 2. I'm excited about it. I know Brittany's excited. She didn't get to see part 1, but
she's not here for part 1, but that doesn't mean I didn't get to see it.
She wasn't here for part 1. But so when we left off on the last session we had, you were in Germany. You were still doing drugs as a soldier, and you were selling drugs as a soldier, and then you ended up getting sent to Leavenworth. So from that point, when you was in Leavenworth, what happened from there?
I was in Leavenworth. Okay, while I was in the penitentiary, I met. Oh, you know, when you're in prison, that's when you really come to yourself. You take time. And I've always had a relationship. I always knew God. I just wasn't obeying or doing what I should have been doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I met people, and I met a guy that was a barber. And I've always been pretty good with my hands. I draw and this, that, and other. And he was a barber, and he talked about when he got out, he was going to take up cosmetology as a whole. And I thought about that because I really wanted to be a truck driver. You know, because I wanted a job. I wanted something I could do where I would be away. I didn't want to get a job and my supervisor or boss be an ex-drill sergeant or something, because if he holler at me or frown up or whatever, I'd be unemployed. My attitude wasn't good.
Right.
So I had thought about all them things. And then while I was in, I took up little classes, Think and Grow Rich, Success through PMA. I got my GED because I hadn't finished school. And it was positive. And they told me, say, look at this as an opportunity to get on your feet. You know, you got plenty of money, you got plenty of time, your car's broke down, and you need a little something fixed on the car. Well, the car already raggedy. So you got all this time and money. Go ahead and get a total overhaul. So the thing is instead of serving time, let your time serve you.
Right.
And I took on that, and I tried to get a little my education back. I took up little classes and courses of Think and Go Rich, Positive Mental Attitude, Success through PMA.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got out and went home, there wasn't a truck driver school in Oklahoma. I would either have to go to Texas or Oklahoma or Kansas.
Right.
Because truck driver school. So I jumped into beauty college because I was already like, gun-ho and ready to get started and start my life. So I jumped into beauty college. Never thought about no hair before in my life.
So when you came out and you got into beauty college, that was and you started doing hair, did that put you on the straight and narrow path, or was you still, backsliding, as we like to say, backsliding a little bit?
Okay, again, when you're in there, you be thinking you're gonna do right. But you also have those little things in your mind. When I get out and I'm going to get me a drink and this, that, and other, and I'm going to really enjoy it. It didn't stop. It just, no. The short answer is no. But you know, it gave me a choice on trying to give me some work for myself because I knew I didn't want to get a job and be subject to anybody hollering at me or, you know, my attitude wasn't good.
Right. You know, Richard, I know you and I have talked plenty of times in the past and through AMVO and through some of our New Beginnings classes.
Mhm.
And one of the things that that I find interesting when you say it and when people hear it, it's kind of like astounding. And when they say, well, how long have you been on drugs? How long have you been doing drugs? And when you say, well, all my life, everyone's like, come on, man, no one does drugs all your life. But and for our viewers who hadn't been tuned into part one, explain a little bit to our viewers why you say all your life.
Literally. Because in grade school, junior high school, we used to, when I was like earlier grade school, we try to smoke cigars or whatever and everything, anything to give you a little buzz, just mischievous little stuff. And when we moved from an area we was in to a better area, so to speak, more kids, and it was a group of us, and we would go and we would drink and smoke weed, and I'm talking about I was like in grade school. And by the time, from 6th grade or so, we would drink, smoke weed, and do our thing. And then junior high school was my time to try everything.
Right.
You know, I tried acid, I tried Robitussin, because you could get Robitussin from the drugstore. We drink Robitussin, they have you talking to squirrels and pigeons and everything else.
Right.
And acid just had you seeing things. And, you know, you could throw some water on the wall and it'll run up, you know, and I was just experimenting. And I was part of the gang. I was the youngest. And me and my brother, both of my brothers were blind, but my brother then, he could see. My middle brother, he didn't go blind until I was in the 9th grade when he was blind, going to high school, getting ready to go to high school. And we would just drink and smoke weed, and we tried acid, tried all these things. And then by the time I hit high school, I figured I would just, you know, drink and smoke weed.
Right.
But that continued. And once I went in the military and went through what I went through and got out, and when I came out and was in beauty college, that was good, but I was still smoking my weed and drinking. And when I graduated beauty college, I was working and everything was good. But as the time went on, I got with a guy and a girl, and we opened up a beauty salon. And when I opened that beauty salon, I had a customer that would come in, and he'd give me 1,000 black mollies, you know, which was speed. And I would give him and his wife a curl. Well, I could sell 25 of those mollies because there was ladies using it as a diet pill for $25. So I was selling mollies, and then I was selling weed because I had a weed man I could go and buy a quarter pound of weed from. And lo and behold, I was doing this in the shop, and everything was good, and drinking, and I'm fine, so to speak, you know. And lo and behold, I went to get my weekly fix on my marijuana, and homeboy was in there freebasing. And this is back when cocaine was cocaine.
Right.
It wasn't crack. It was cocaine. You bought powder, you cooked it into a rock, and you based it. And he was freebasing, and I'm like, my curiosity, what's up? So I ended up buying from him and freebasing with him and talking and enjoyed. And I was like in my 20s now, but I had been getting high all the way. And that, you know, when they say it'll take you farther than you want to go and keep you longer than you want to stay, that was the.
We got a question from one of the viewers. Says, what made you stop doing drugs, and how long you've been clean?
I've been clean now. God bless. About 12 years.
12 years?
Yeah, about 12 years.
All right.
And I wish I could tell you that I had an epiphany or whatever, or this and that and other, or I finally seen the light, and I've always knew God. But the fact of the matter is, I got tired.
Right. All right. We got another question up here. Says from Ms. Goodell, she says, what was your home life like? Were you attempting to escape a bad situation at home, or did you just want to be there doing drugs at such a young age?
That's a good one. I'm gonna give you 2 parts on that. I remember at one time, like I don't read very well.
Mm-hmm.
At my age, kids get to read much better than me, and I can read by association more than that. If you take one of them words and throw it over by itself, I wouldn't know it, but I could read it in a sentence.
Mm-hmm.
That makes any sense. And I used to, and this was years ago. I used to would be like, my mom wasn't there. Homework. I don't know what homework is. I'd come home from school and boom, I'm out playing. Because back then, we was outside.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball, I'm playing. Nobody asked me about homework. If I had homework, well, so I used to kind of blame my mother for my reading ability. But all them things grow old because when you get old enough and 1+1 and your ABCs without saying elemental or right and wrong and all that, you can't keep blaming somebody else for what you do.
Right.
And then I'm saying I had to write a letter in a drug program to allow something to go. And that's what I wrote. I wrote my mom a letter. I forgave her for that. And I took responsibility that was me. Because now I'm old enough to and I took up some classes to learn how to read better, and I didn't continue in them. So I had to let her off the hook and in terms, let all that go.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that played a part in furthers me in the education part. Furthers the drugs and everything else, I grew up doing that. And it was being a part of the gang, being a part of the group, fit me in. I wasn't a little brother. I was just one of, and as the things grew, I grew with it. And I'm saying, when you're in that drug area now, and this might take a minute, I'm sorry, I gotta say this. Sometimes I'm glad and this might sound crazy. Sometimes I am glad I did the crack for this reason. I've met people in prison that went to jail because this guy was in jail for prison. He left the club drunk, drove home with the bed. That's all he did. He woke up with the police all around him in his room and arrested him because he ran over somebody on his way home. Now he's in prison for that. So I think about, and I say this as a joke. God didn't allow me to be a truck driver because I thought I was okay drinking, but I'd have been the one person that would have hit that one tree in a 5-mile radius. Ain't nothing else around. I'd have hit that one tree in a 5-mile radius. So God didn't let me be a truck driver. He allowed me to do hair. The cocaine kept me from getting to that part with the alcohol. Because to me, I still say I was good with the alcohol, but that could have ended too.
Right.
And that might sound crazy, but it's just how I think about it sometimes.
So you had I know you had a transition. We got another question. I'm gonna talk about this transition real quick.
Okay.
It says, what advice can you give a mother whose child is out on drugs?
Okay. The same God you have, they have.
Mm-hmm.
And if God give you a child, if God give you a husband, if God give you anything, give that thing back to God. And it's like God is sitting there saying, okay, I got him. And you say, okay, take him, then you snatch him back. Until you let that child go and let God have, because the same God that saved me and all of us is the same God he got.
Right.
And I got to say this, the stick thing again. When you pick up a stick, whatever's on the other end of that stick comes with it. So when your child pick up that stick and you grab hold of the other end, guess what? Wherever he go, you go.
Right.
And it might be good that you holding on to help him, but at some point, you gotta let that stick go, because the bad part about it is once he starts getting high, once that drug or that alcohol is in him and he got that stick and you on the other end of that stick, he gonna carry you to some things he never thought he would because he's not aware. And the thing is it's gonna be okay with him because he high.
Right.
You the one sober.
You the one sober. Yeah.
You gotta let him go.
Good point. Good point.
If My people wouldn't have let me go. If I could get high, go home, eat, sleep, drink, get up, go get high, go home, eat, sleep, I'd still be getting high. What would I stop for?
I tell you what, I think that advice is maybe not just good for the mothers, but also good for siblings as well. You know, those brothers and sisters or nieces and uncles and nephews and stuff, because you're right. They do take you through something and it doesn't bother them one bit. They're okay because, like you said, they're not in their right mind.
Yeah.
And at some point you do have to bring that, I guess, tough love, or, they have to be able to find their way. So, one of the things I want to talk about, which is very interesting to me, you have become an author, and got a good book out there that is racking up sales, and people are buying it off the shelf. If we can get the producer to pull it up, we got Abram to Abraham, then and now. So talk to us a little bit about why you moved to writing this book and what brought this book on.
Okay. Number one, I'm going to say this here. The book is from Abram to Abraham. Now, it's not a story about Abraham. It's not one of them boring stories about Abraham at all. It's a story about Abraham's journey that turned him into, it's a book about Abram's journey that turned him into Abraham.
Okay.
It's a story about me and my journey from the crackhead Richard to the Richard sitting here now.
Okay.
It's a story about you from your childhood and everything else, hearing God's voice to getting to do where you have this broadcast. Right. It's a story about everybody. That's why I say that from Abram to Abraham, then and now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you clarified that up, because I think sometimes people might get that confused and look at it from a biblical standpoint, or thinking it's about Abraham like this, but it's about all of us. It's about you. It's about me, and that transition. Got another question out here. It says, if there's anything you can change about your situation, what would it be? Oh man, good question.
Then or now?
Like right now?
Oh wow. Right now, you know what? Everything I went through, I'm grateful, because it made me who I am today. And in the relationship I have with God right now is priceless. And that's why I'm really grateful for what I went through. What I would change like today, I could, man, right now, I'm just trying to get closer into God. Listen, I've learned that Satan ain't got nothing to do with all this mess out here. Satan, it ain't. We always talk about Satan. It ain't about, the only thing Satan can do is, Richard, man, you know what, man, you remember that crack? That crack was good, man. And that drink, that's your favorite drink right there.
Right.
But it's up to me to go and get it and take it.
Right.
I'm gonna use this. If you was a diabetic, he gonna tell you, that's your favorite piece of cake over there. You know it. It's up to you to go take that cake. That's all Satan can do. I've come to learn that in life, it ain't nothing we can do. I mean, God says, what good would you do to worry and all this here? We're worrying at any time in your life.
Right.
You got to give it all to him. You know that old song, oh, what needless pains we bear, all because we do not carry everything to God in prayer.
Right.
And leave it there. And I'm saying the hardest thing was for me to do was to give up control of my life. But the fact of the matter, as long as I was in control, I was out of control.
Right.
And now I've got to understanding that God is real. And I can have a decent life with what I do, but as long as it's what I do, I'm gonna have to do what I do to keep going. But I can have a quality life when I let God do it and just focus on that. So anything I can do right now, I'm just trying to focus, let go and let God.
When we were talking, when we were talking backstage, you said something that I never really thought about. You said that you was in programs, and you've been in these programs, and hearing the people talk about the things they did and the things I bought and the things they used, it had your mouth watering like, man, I want to go back out and get some. And I never thought about how that would affect somebody in a program when they're talking about, other people are talking about all the stuff that they do, and you're in this program trying to get better, but you're hearing all the things that was brought you to this program. How would you what advice would you give to someone who's going to enter into those programs, who's going to be hearing about, man, I used to do mollies, I did crack, I did heroin, I did this, I used to hide it here, I used to do it this way, I used to do it that way, to keep them from going back down that road? Because when I think about it, and you're right, it's kind of like, that diabetic or someone who's on a diet, and you're sitting in a room full of people talking about, man, I make upside down cake, pineapple cake, I make baked cheese, and you're like, oh my gosh, this all sounds so good. You know what? I'm gonna go get me some right now. Right. So I can understand that now. And I never thought about that before from somebody who's trying to recover and get better. What advice would you give to them who are going to be entering in a program and hearing that type of talk?
Okay. One, I'm going to start with this. Most of these programs, the 12 steps are biblical. They're biblical based, but they don't put it that way because they want the atheists and everybody else. So, so they say the God of your choice. If that light bulb is your God, fine. Right. But most of them do know God. But the good thing that they do say, and this is what you have to do, is play the tape all the way through. Don't stop at, ooh, the cake was so good, and man, it tasted good. Keep playing the tape to where, now I got to take this shot.
Right.
Wow. You know what I'm saying? The drugs was good and everything else. Now I'm broke. I'm homeless. I'm hungry. I'm on my feet. I'm walking. The sex was good, man or woman, but now I got a black eye, a busted mouth, 4 flat tires. Play the tape all the way through.
Right.
Don't stop at the glamour. Play it all the way through, because when you get to the end, you know how many people got back in relationships and it was all good, and all of a sudden, boom. That's why I left them alone.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
We got another question for you, Mr. Richard. Does it bother you to see other people on drugs, and do you talk to them and tell them your story on how you came clean?
As much as I can. When I go to, it's a program house that I stayed in. I went into this house and I stayed in this program house. I was still doing hair. I was making good money. I stayed in that house over 2 years. Reason being, it was never about the money. It's about me. And the man used to say, man, why y'all don't pay rent like him? He pays rent on time. And I want to tell him to shut up, man. That's not what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm trying to be normal.
Right.
I'm trying to act like a citizen here. That's my goal. I'm sorry. The question was again. Sorry.
Do you get upset when you see other people on drugs, and then do you try to tell them your story of how you became clean?
I do, and I try to tell them when I go in, especially if I'm in a program house, I tell them, please do not leave here when you're financially able to, because that's not why you're here. I try to tell them my story. Now, for us getting frustrated, ain't no sense, because I'm saying I do know that real people that really in the programs, people that really try to help people in the programs, the main goal is, I might not can stop you from getting high, but I'm gonna do my best to ruin your next high. If I can ruin your next high, that's one step closer. But God is first and foremost. God says some water, some plant, some water. God get the increase. I just got to do my part. Plant, water. I might not ever see the increase. That's God's thing. So
all right.
Just don't.
So I got a few highlights, some key highlights here from the book here. I just want you to kind of like brief on it a little bit. Like one of them, I found interesting. He says the blueprint of change. What is the blueprint of change?
Okay.
when you wrote this in your book, what in your mind, what are you saying is the blueprint of change? What is that about?
You know what? It's everything I'm saying. Like, how would I put that in words? And see, when I wrote this book, I'm just going to say this to you. This is my second edition.
Mm-hmm.
The first edition came out with Donald Trump and COVID. When COVID came out and Donald Trump's mess came out, my book came out, and we was all quarantined.
Mm-hmm.
So I met another lady that's a publisher. She's in a Butterfly Ministry. She's in Arkansas. And she gave me an interview like this here and heard my whole story. So now she took that book and she added me more into it.
Okay.
So a lot of it, some of that part of it, there. But if I was going to say the blueprint would be, letting go and let God. I mean, it's truly, okay. You got to understand what God be saying. Okay. I used to, one thing, and I hope I ain't.
You're fine.
The first thing that make me run out of is when you be in church and they say something like having the mind of Christ. I'm already running toward the door because I like life. I like enjoying something. Being a Christian to me was going to be boring.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And having the mind of Christ, man, I'm running out the door looking back like your mind, But as I understood these words, and when I think about it, it talks about Jesus. Jesus was all man.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he was tempted in all points, just like we are, but yet did not sin. God said, if you commit your works to the Lord, he will establish your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So with them 2 points, if I had to bust my head a few times to understand that it's true, if I commit my works to the Lord, he'll establish my thoughts. So if I'm doing right now, then whatever I'm going through, just don't go backwards.
Right.
I'm saying God's going to tell me my thought. I'll know what to do. If I get to a place where I've done all I know to do, don't start trying to do something else. Because now it's you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get into you, it's like God's helping you, and then you start doing it, and he'd be like, "Oh, I'm this." Next thing you know, he like, there you go again. God, there you go, help him. That's you. So stop right there. That's it. Now, having the mind of Christ is not a lack of riches. It's not putting me out. I can still have the same sense of humor, but having the mind of Christ is actually having the strength to say no.
Right.
I can do all things through Christ, not with him, not for him, not on his side or whatever, through.
Right.
So having the mind of Christ is having the strength to say no, and thinking is knowing what to do and when to stop.
Right.
So yeah.
So during your journey, all these years, you and correct me if I'm wrong, you weren't alone. You had a spouse at one time during all this time. How did that transpire with the spouse and you doing drugs? Did she ever try to get you clean, or was she an accomplice to your situation? How did that work?
Okay, we was young. She was with me when I was to Germany. I brought her to Germany. It didn't last. Everybody told me, wait until you get out the military and come home, then marry her. She wait for me.
Right.
I want to take her with me. I married her, took her to Germany, and she had played a few times before, and I'm thinking once I married her, all this will stop.
Right.
It didn't. Now, so in Germany, she was just good. I mean, I was a dealer. I'm making money. I'm hustling, everything else. And we'd go to Frankfurt and party and all that. And we stayed out away from where my base was. And my best friend was a sergeant that sold hashish,
Mhm.
and his German girl was the connection. She had a connection with the Turk to get the hash. So we thought he went back to the United States, got transferred back to the United States. So she moved down into a smaller apartment, and me and my wife moved into the apartment they had upstairs. So my connection was right there. And she was just a part of it. We was partying and everything else, but she was cheating on me at the same time. I didn't know that. And this was back when the Ohio Players had this song,
Right.
I'm Gonna Be Free. And she didn't like that song. And I didn't understand why she didn't like that song. And before I ended up going to jail, I had gotten in trouble, had Article 15, and my wife, when they told me my first sergeant and my company commander looked at me and said, "Your wife just cheated on you."
Wow.
I'm like, now I know why she don't like that song. I went home, I played that song to death. But even at that, I still loved her. I wasn't trying to hurt her, but I'm through the relationship because we had went through it before. And I wasn't so stupid that I'm gonna keep going through it. So I knew now I done married you, I done brought you to Germany, and you still, well, I'm done. But what ended up happening is when everything went down, the day she was supposed to leave and go home, I went to pick her up, and the German police had got her and the German girl and put them in jail. Well, in Germany, they don't set court dates. They have court so many times a year, so you can be in jail 3-4 years before you go to court.
Oh, wow.
And then if you're in trouble with Germans, American lawyer can't help you because German courts are a whole nother thing. So I had to get a German lawyer to find out what was going on. And they wanted her to write a testimony against the German girl. Well, in Germany, if you give a statement in front of a judge and a witness, that statement is you sitting in court pointing your finger. Where in state it's not. You got to be there literally pointing your finger where that paper is. So they wanted her to do that, and then they was going to deport her. So now I had lost the money from that plane ticket, but I had to either get her another plane ticket, or when they finished with her, they was going to deport her. And when they deport you, they take you to the airport, and the first thing you head into the States, they put you on wherever it's going.
Wherever it's going.
So I had to get her another ticket. But yeah, she cheated on me.
Wow. So now that you got part 2 of this book out, now you're doing speaking engagements. Have you started yet, or is it this is just something on the forefront that you're going to start doing? And if so, where would you be doing these speaking engagements at?
I would love to be able to do it either in a church setting or a drug program setting. I don't care if you want me to come to your house and speak. I mean, if there's anything I can speak on, like I say, this book is if you read it, it's I guarantee you get your Bible and you follow the story and you read this book. And I also have a question book too. And if you don't fleetingly answer the questions, but really stop and meditate and answer the questions, you're going to have a better relationship with God. You're going to have a better relationship with God. So yes, I would, if wherever I could speak or help, and I'm saying, even if you just want to call me and ask me about your child like you're doing now on this here, I'm wide open anyway. I could be of help.
Outstanding. Folks, viewers, those who are watching, hey, please go ahead and share this live broadcast with someone that you know who could be in a situation just the same as Richard. And Richard, for our audience, for those who are watching, where can they purchase Abram to Abraham book at?
Right now, it's on sale at Amazon.
On Amazon.
It's on sale on Amazon now.
Okay, it's on sale on Amazon right now, folks. I know I'm gonna go ahead and purchase me one like this. I'm sure Brittany's gonna get her one because
He's gonna get it for me.
nope. She said, but yeah. So Richard, hey, we appreciate you coming in here tonight and sharing part 2 with us and bringing us the book and allowing us to be able to understand a little bit more about you and also for you to be able to help others in the community. We think that is awesome. And I really look forward to working more with you within the community and doing the things that you do here. So we appreciate that, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right. Hey, folks, Always, like I said before, we do have the 7 to 7 baby shower that is coming up here on Sunday, May 26th, starting at 1 o'clock. For those who need to register, please go ahead and get registered at www.cni-solutions.org. And also, we did start our second entrepreneur class last night. I think it's going to be another good group.
Third class.
I'm sorry, the third class of the year. This is our third class of the year. I think Miss Brittany, lead facilitator, is pumping them out. She's pumping them out, right? But again, we're looking forward for this class. It's a collaboration with Huntsville Housing. So we're definitely elated to be able to work with them and help support these residents and getting them to become business owners. So as always, remember, your yesterday is not your today, and your today is not your tomorrow. Good night.